New meta just dropped, everybody. We are going to talk about Miguel, the most powerful character in the game. No, just kidding. We are going to be talking about Auguste here. Auguste has officially been announced to be coming into the game. Now, I actually forgot to get him on the test server before he left, so I don't actually have him in the test server. But beyond that, also, I'm technically not supposed to show the test server, so we'll have to wait till the next character for me to do that. But we're going to talk about Auguste. So this guy has been maybe not the single most hyped character, but number 2 or tied for number 1. Staff is like number 1. She was the one everyone was like, waifu, 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 I could fix her. And then people were like, and then Auguste. Auguste was number 2. Coco, I think, was like number 3. So, I mean, there's been a lot of hype characters, right? Beryl was hype. Cole was hype. Gloria was hype. Simona was not hype, but I like Simona. But Auguste has been one of the most hype characters. Considered a tier 0, super powerful character. Let's go through their skills and kind of see what they're about. So, first, let's just look at their talent first. Their talent is kind of bonkers, okay? First, this is probably the level 5 talent, by the way. I don't know, maybe I could look at the level 1 if I go in here on Billy. Yeah, so no matter what, let's just say, no matter what, at 1 star, he ignores block. He ignores block. This is the breaker to break all breakers, bro. Nobody that has green in their typing is going to survive. He is just going, not only does he deal double damage because of type advantage, but they also can't even block. So ignoring block, very powerful. This easily one-shots Coco, I guarantee it, even before we get into the rest of the kit. After an attack or standby, so after you use an attack or after you just stand still, you get angrier. So I think you get rage, anger, I don't know what it's going to be called. Different pages show different things. But I love the idea that even if you're just standing by, so I understand your attack, you're getting into the heat of battle, but if he walks up to someone, he just looks at him, he's like, you're fucking pissing me off, bro. Next turn! Next turn! So he just gets angrier just by standing there. So he's always getting stacks. You can get up to 6 stacks. When you have 6 stacks, after you attack, you remove the stacks and you get to act again. You also get Rage Explosion, which I don't remember what this does. Show me. Adding 40% of your magic attack value to your physical attack. So you get a bunch more attack. Just, you know, a bunch more attack. And basically, as you get higher up, it basically just makes this go online faster, right? You're going to get Rage Explosion 3, which will give you 70% of your magic attack. And you'll start with 4 stacks of Rage. But honestly, I think that even at 1 star, he's going to be really good. But I think he's really going to pop off when you get to 4 star, unfortunately, because, oh, he also regenerates energy once you get to 3 stars when you get that. So that's going to be really good. 4 stars is pretty good because you start at 4 stacks of rage. So on like the second turn, because the first turn, you're not going to be able to attack. You're probably going to move up and stand still. It brings you up to 5. The next turn, you're going to go to 6. And then when you have the 6, you're going to get to go again. So this is an act again machine kind of character. Built-in self-act again. Built-in self-energy regeneration. Built-in damage increase. Built-in, like, ignoring block. I mean, this is just very pushed. If this just had a way to give you act again every couple turns or something, that would be very powerful. But they added in a bunch of damage to it. They added in energy regeneration, and they added in the ability to ignore block. So it's super pushed. It's incredibly powerful talent. Probably the most powerful talent, like, I've read. They are getting a bit crazy on him, but this one's up there. So this is actually also what's crazy. His signature ability, his out of gate skill tree. Additional skills can be learned inside the door. I don't know if this is a mechanic that we don't have yet, but this ability here, God's Wrath movement, this is the first ability I've seen of its type to this extent. This is a lot like Rawia's ability here, but let's just take a look at this ability, right? So this is a instant. It costs 2, so it's a little expensive, but it has a range of 2 tiles here. Instant, you attack, deal 40% damage, and you knock them back a square. Then this changes to God's Wrath Severance. The skill lasts for 2 rounds. I assume that means that if you don't use it right away, it'll still change. But you get a dash up, boom, hit something, deal a little bit of damage. 40% is not much, but we've seen on Rawia, just can be good for gap closing, right? So overall, I think that's good. And it's an instant, so there's no downside. It is kind of expensive for that, but level 2, you don't even need to get closer either, because this hits, I think this hits, does this hit target? No, it's ground. It's a ground target. So you could target the ground. So even though you knock them back, this isn't going to screw you up. You probably don't want Denial Hammer on this guy. But the ability it changes into is only a 1 cost. It's only a 1 cost. So it's only 3 to do both of these. Deals 85% damage to all enemies in a 3x2 area in the target direction, and applies physical defense down 2 for 2 rounds. So the first part is going to do 40. This is going to do 85. So you're going to be doing 125% damage in an AoE on the second part as well. But so this does not have instant. So this will end your turn unless you have your rage, which is very possible, right? Because the way this thing works is when you do an active attack. I mean, this has got to be an instant speed active attack, right? So this has got to trigger, you know, give you a stack of rage. Then this gives you a stack of rage. So you're going to get a couple stacks when you do this, but this changes into another ability, into a third ability, the God's Wrath Fierce Slash. This is another cost 1. So we're up to 1, 2, 3, 4 total energy, which is a lot for an ability, but I think this is going to be worth it because this is really the payoff here. Single target attack causing 160% damage and 80% damage to enemies within 1 square of the target. And this is a unit, so you will actually need to move closer to them. You don't need to for this ability, but you're going to want to have at least 1 movement so you can get closer, hit the guy with this, and then hit the guy with this. So this is 160%. This is 85%. So the 125 plus, it would be 260, 70, 285% damage on a character that's ignoring block, that's already having a huge stat boost. This is kind of the payoff, which is really fun for your first ability, because you can't use this ability into this ability without having your rage proc, because these two aren't instants, right? But if you're up to like 4 rage, you get to use the instant, go up to 5, use this, go to 6, pop it, and then go and do this, doing just an insane amount of damage not out of nowhere, but it's going to be hard pressed. And it also does like a lot of AoE as well if they're grouped up. If they're not grouped up, it's okay. The single target damage is still great. And that's just his level 1 ability, right? And his talent. He's kind of already busted there. Now, to be fair, I actually think that's probably most of the power is going to be in that level 1. But just to look here what he gets, he does get the armor breaking blast, shield break 2, 150% damage. I mean, this is a pretty good ability overall. It's kind of expensive, but if they have a shield, it'll be good. If, you know, I actually like this ability. I'll probably take that over Chivalry, although probably not. Versus PvE, Chivalry is really good. When you attack an enemy from the front, you deal 20% increased damage, or you get 20% increased attack. And then when you're attacked in the front, your defense is increased by 40%. This is actually just really good against PvE because the AI doesn't try to maneuver around you for the most part. They'll just attack you in the front. So this is actually a really, really good ability in PvE content. At 3rd level, you get some of the unique abilities. I'm not in love with Nightmare. This gains 2 layers of rage, but that's not that good because if you just hit standby without doing anything, you get 1 layer. So this is only giving you 1 additional layer. So it's not like, whoa, it's ramping you a lot, right? It gives you more, but not a whole lot more. You do gain a physical shield of 60% of your attack value, of probably your physical attack, and you get damage reduction. So this makes you way tankier, but I don't know if that feels that important. When you're injured, you do get, so if you get it, so you're injured, you get an additional layer of rage and you get damage up too. The issue is this character doesn't have toughness. Like, I don't want to be injured because, like, you're getting a pretty big debuff for being injured, right? He doesn't have toughness in his kit anywhere. So I don't really like anything about this ability that much. Though I won't lie, because it's also not instant. That's pretty rough. But, like, to get 3 layers of rage is a good way to set yourself up for next turn. Keep yourself alive. It's like has a use, but I don't know if I'll actually put this on the bar, if I'm being honest. Warm Touch. This is an ability I also am not super impressed with, but I actually think it's quite a bit better. When you attack a target, you deal what I assume is piercing damage equal to 15% of the target's current health. I wonder if it is current health or if it's maximum health. It says of their current health, and then you restore 10% of your health, or this is kind of weird. Either you're going to get 10% of their health as yours, or you're just going to recover 10% of your health. This can be activated at once per round at most, but it can be triggered against multiple characters. So if you do a big AoE, you'll hit them all for an additional 15%. I think this is good. I like piercing damage, but I'm not in love with it. It is a way to keep himself alive. It is a way for him, to heal and deal extra damage. It seems like a pretty good ability overall, but again, I'm still not super impressed, but I am leaning more towards wanting passive abilities, things that just kind of go off, because I want to be using God's Wrath probably a lot. Once you get to level 5, I actually think this is a little bit harder than it looks. Look Down on Others is good against PvE, not really PvP in my opinion. Reduces damage taken by 15%. That's good. But there's actually a lot of ways to ignore reactions. So I think PvP that this just won't work. But again, in PvE, you're just taking less damage, and you gain an additional layer of rage up to 2 times per round. So you're not counterattacking necessarily, but you are ramping up to get your rage way faster. So this is going to be really good. However, this is a reaction that only does stuff when you get attacked. There are reactions on other characters that do more interesting things. So this isn't my favorite reaction, but I mean, again, if you're baiting out attacks or getting hit a couple times, and then maybe you're healing up with this, or maybe you're just going really, really tanky, I do think this could be reasonable. However, I have a hard time passing up just the guaranteed damage too every time you heal. This makes you heal more, and then after you heal, you gain damage up to for a turn. This just seems like actually really good, especially combined with Warm Touch. But I don't know if you're gonna have these 3 on your bar, probably not. But oh no, this is a reaction, duh. But I do like Activate the Power probably more than Look Down on Others in a lot of situations. But again, like, it depends how long the fight is. The longer the fight is, the more I want this, because the more it'll let me get rage more frequently. If I'm expecting a fight to last about 4 rounds and I'm only expecting to get rage off once, then I definitely want just the guaranteed damage, because when you attack, you're going to heal a little bit, and then it'll trigger that. Level 7 is kind of an ability I would never use on this character. Tornado. I like Tornado. I think it's good on other characters. Don't really think it's for this guy. He already has lots of AoE in this God's Wrath thing, and he has like 2 different forms of AoE in it, so I don't think this is going to be... No healing is like fine, but you would not take up a slot on his bar for that. An aura that increases the attack of other friendly forces within 2 squares of self. So I don't think Attack Command increases his own attack. If this increases his own attack, definitely could be worth it. If it only increases other people's attack, I mean, I would bring other characters to buff. Like, I mean, it stacks with everything, right? Because it's an aura. But I mean, honestly, I would probably just bring Gloria to buff his attack as opposed to him trying to buff other people's attack. Charge attack is actually pretty average on this character. I don't think it's as good as in other characters. It increases the damage of your next skill by 15%. The issue is you're chaining multiple skills together, so this is not going to affect like your whole turn. It's going to affect one of your maybe 2 or 3 skills on that turn. So I'm not super in love with that. But Collapse is pretty sick. It's just 100% damage. It's not my favorite of the auto attacks or of the normal attacks, but it is good. If an enemy is healthy, is what I assume, you remove energy from the target. I mean, that's pretty fucking good. That could be pretty devastating and mess up their turns. Some characters it's not great against, but I do think Collapse is absolutely worth using. Once you get to the ultimates here, you got Overlord, Roar, Break. This is not an ability. I think this ability is good, but I'm probably not going to use it. Single target attack deals 170% damage. Before attacking, you dispel 3 buffs and on the target, and you apply Isolate for 2 turns. So Isolate makes them basically immune to allies' auras. So you are going to effectively debuff them a lot. And like, not only are you getting rid of their buffs, you're also probably getting rid of, they have the 20% defense, right? So this is a pretty powerful ability. The issue for me is that it costs 4 energy. I just don't feel like this is worth 4 energy. I kind of wish it was like 2 energy on a cooldown or something like that. Maybe I would use that more. I mean, 170% damage is a lot, but don't forget you have 160% damage in this ability. Yeah, you got to do some, jump through some hoops to get there, but this ability seems a little more niche for me. Whereas on the other hand, this ability is also 4 energy and it does less damage, but this is a huge AoE. Before attacking, you dispel 2 buffs, But when you're in the rage state, you also have a 50% chance to apply stun to the target. So you just have a chance to stun a coin flip, but it's to stun 12 targets. It's not going to be 12, but maybe 2 or 3 targets, whoever targets are in there. So I think this is much more realistic to just use every now and then. I don't like, it's hard for me to say which of these is better. The thing is, Overlord Roar is mostly getting rid of the buffs, which is good, but like I'm probably just gonna use like, I don't know, man. I don't think I'm gonna use that ability that much. Maybe it is good to have like a single target nuke when this is not set up, but I mean this only costs 4 energy to do the whole cycle, but you need the rage up to really do it, whereas this does it up front. This ability, if it wasn't for the stun, I think it would be pretty bad. So you need to, because it costs 4, it's kind of weird. You basically have to use this instant speed, and then you're gonna go, or you just attack, right? I mean, maybe this is where you use the charge attack, and then that brings you up to 6. Then you rage burst, and then you do the AoE here that will do pretty decent damage with a chance to stun. If you stun a target, I mean, that's insane. Guzman can stun guaranteed. It's only 2 tiles. But so this, a 50% chance to stun, I'm not in love with. But I do think that this ability probably has more flexibility, and it will make it to my bar more frequently. So overall, this is what's crazy. I think his talent is busted. I think this ability, God's Wrath, is busted. And I actually think Armor Breaking Blast is probably going to be, I'm going to use that more than Overlord Roar Break. Probably. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But I think most of his power comes from like right away. So if you're a brand new player, I think if you get this character, he's going to feel like you have like 80% of his power level at level 1. I mean, obviously from the stat standpoint, it'll get better, but you have so much of his kit that's interesting. But I mean, I'm probably going to be running Chivalry. I'm probably going to be running, so Chivalry, Collapse, God's Monument. What's the third ability I think you had run? Warm Touch? Probably Warm Touch. I might want to use Nightmare. It's only every 4 turns, though. Yeah, I think I'd probably do Warm Touch for a little bit of healing, a little bit of extra damage. And then God's Wrath, Warm Touch, because it kind of synergizes with that. I don't know if that's the right build, but that's kind of what my gut instinct is right now. But overall, yeah. I mean, Auguste, is he tier 0? It's hard to say until you actually get him, until you actually play him. But I mean, I'm just reading like this passive has so much, there's so much shit in here. There's so much going on in here. It's kind of crazy how pushed this trait is. And then it's crazy how pushed this God's Wrath ability is. Like these two together, I think makes him like a broken character. No, like I used to love, and I mean, I still do, but I still love like lower rarity characters like, Night Raven or something, or Divine Archer, Divine Grace or whatever. But like they don't have anything that's like this kind of shit, bro. Like their numbers and their abilities are way simpler, and they could do a lot of damage. But I mean, this shit is kind of crazy. Overall, I mean, I actually think most of his stuff is you're gonna get it early, but I do really like pretty much everything here. I don't know which of these I'm going to use. I just want to stun people, so I'm probably going to get the God's Wrath Destruction of Heaven and Earth because it's got a cool name. Although the idea of just yelling someone to death is really fun as well, so we'll have to see. But yeah, let me know what you think about Auguste. He does seem busted, but I really need to see some gameplay of him actually going off, because here's the thing. He's going to go off and like, wow, that was a lot of damage, and then he's just going to act again. You're like, what? He gets to act again, and then someone's going to Endana him. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Why is this crazy guy have like 60 turns in a row? So yeah, he's probably just gonna absolutely lay waste to everybody. He uses an axe, even though he's holding a sword. This is actually an axe. Don't let it fool you. Anyway, that is all for today, guys. Thank you very much. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I'll see you on the flip-flops. Bye!
Turning on the screen with a laugh aloud. Purplatypus brings the fun.